Life is a science. And the more I live life is the more I understand the beauty behind the science of life. On the stories that I tell through the Calibishie Chronicle, I also get some understanding that you don't necessarily get when you don't tell stories. Storytelling is enlightening to the storyteller more than even the people who receive the stories. Because whenever you tell stories, certain triggers go off in your mind and you get to see the stories in a way probably that the consumers of the story do not quite see it. When you teach, you learn more than the stuff that you teach. Because when you have receptacles, people receiving the stuff that you teach, they give you conceptions of the things that you teach which you would not really have if you didn't teach it. So a psychologist like Dr. Matthew would be able to put that in proper context. But that's how I feel as a teacher. Every time I teach a class, a lecture, I see the material much more vivid in my eyes. So telling the stories here on Calibishie Chronicle helped me to understand the stories that I'm telling even better. And on this particular episode, I would like to speak about the social gatherings in Calibishie. At the time when I was growing up, now social gatherings took place where we had the La One, we had the full moon events on the playing field, and we used to play Hoopsay Way and Shalawan Day War. We did those things, and skip and hopscotch and moral and Monopoly, all of that. We can speak about that too, but the most significant social gathering back in the day, I remember as a boy, was the rum shop. Well, let's just say the shop. And every shop had a section for rum, liquor, tata, galbanzo, speakeasy, abatab, fei. It wasn't away from the shop, it was part of the shop, but it was an area reserved for that. And in that area, you'd always find a BUKO. A BUKO is a barrel, traditional wooden barrel, made out of wood, of course, and of metal straps with a bouchon, a wooden bouchon, kept tight, snugly together by some bag material or some mesh. That, of course, was a traditional container that rum used to come in to the islands from England. It goes back to slavery and colonialism. I believe we still have the BUKO because Belfast Estate was the major manufacturer of rum. And that's how the BUKO would be delivered to the shops in Calibishie. So almost every shop had a BUKO. And the people who patronized this area of the shop would sit on the BUKO, and that's how you'd meet them sleeping, sometimes docking, sometimes giving a joke to people like Shasha of pleasant memories. Sukuya, my dear friend, I can call Sukuya name, Cecil, because he's my partner. Prezi, Yo-Yo. I mean, the list goes on of men who I would see sitting at Mayonnaise shop. Now, Mayonnaise was like the shop that I was mainly accustomed with because it was our backstreet shop. That's the shop I used to go and get my little quaidi for my mother, my little half-pound pig snout, little half-pound smoked herring, jollof oil, ounce of lard, ounce of butter, you know, quarter pound salt, sea salt, rock salt, a little half jollof oil, half bottle of kerosene. That is where it all happened. So we would go to the shop, and the shopping or the commission would be at the back of the counter, but you enter the shop and stay on the right side of the shop, and the BUKO and the rum part would generally be on the left. That is how I remember the shop setup. To me, all shops, from Ma Ben, who had shop on the hill, all the way down to Ma Edmond, Live Yedu, Zazai, Sita, Mahovi, all the shops in between, there was a BUKO. I think there was one shop who didn't sell rum. I can't remember. But there was a major art that was put in place in terms of siphoning rum from the BUKO And I will tell you about the dialogue that should be taking place in the BUKO area of the shop, which you as a child would hear, but you do not dare get involved. And many times I'd go to the shop, spend 2 minutes, and come out knowing so much more than I actually knew when I went in the shop. So that's why I think the shop was a major social catchment area for children, because I was a child going in there. The boys and the men know I was a child. They would not be disrespectful, but I would hear things. And I would come out saying, oh. Let's continue to speak about these experiences in the rum shop, well, in the shop back in the day, and what it did. I think it did more good than harm to me. But we'll explore that in the next episode here of Calibishie Chronicle.